Roxie Roker, a groundbreaking figure in television history, led a life full of remarkable achievements, personal struggles, and a love story that could rival the most dramatic soap opera. Born Roxie Albertha Roker on August 28, 1929, in Miami, Florida, she grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where her dreams of becoming an actress were ignited early on. But her journey to stardom was anything but ordinary, and her personal life was filled with drama, triumph, and heartache. Roxy wasn't just any Hollywood starlet. From the start, she aimed high, attending Howard University, one of the most prestigious historically black colleges in the country. After honing her acting skills there, she joined the Negro Ensemble Company, a theater group known for pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo. It was here that she truly began to carve out her place in the world of acting, winning an Obie Award for her work on stage and even earning a Tony Award nomination. Her talent and determination were undeniable, but it was her role as Helen Willis on the groundbreaking CBS sitcom The Jeffersons that catapulted her into television history. In the 1970s, playing one half of the first interracial couple on primetime television was not just risky, it was revolutionary. Roxy, however, embraced the role with grace and charisma despite the criticism and shade thrown her way. Her performance as the sassy, intelligent, and strong-willed Helen Willis turned her into an icon. The show's portrayal of an interracial marriage was scandalous at the time, but Roxy's real-life experience mirrored her character's journey, making her portrayal even more authentic. Roxy's acting career continued to shine beyond the Jeffersons. She appeared in other popular TV shows like Roots, Fantasy Island, The Love Boat, Murder, She Wrote, A Different World, and Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Every role she took on, she played with the same passion and strength, leaving a lasting impact on television history. While her professional life was a trailblazing success, Roxy's personal life was filled with complexities. In 1962, she married TV producer Lenny Kravitz, a former military man who had served in both World War II and the Korean War, rising to the rank of sergeant. Despite his tough exterior, Cy had a softer side, and sparks flew when he and Roxy met while working at NBC. She was an assistant, and he was a producer. Their love story began in the most unexpected of places, right in the newsroom. Cy had been married before and had two children, Lori and Teddy, from his first marriage, but his relationship with them remained distant. After his divorce, he quickly fell in love with Roxy, and they were married in a whirlwind romance. However, their marriage would prove to be just as tumultuous as the times in which they lived. In 1964, Roxy gave birth to their son, Leonard, named after Cy's younger brother, who tragically died in the Korean War. That little boy would grow up to become none other than the rock star, Lenny Kravitz. Although it seemed like a picture-perfect family on the surface, the truth was far more complicated. According to Lenny's memoir, Love Rules, cracks began to show in his parents' marriage early on. Cy was not faithful to Roxy, and his infidelities became a source of deep pain and turmoil for the family. Lenny recalls a particularly heart-wrenching moment when he overheard his father on the phone whispering sweet nothings to another woman. Cy had even gone so far as to hide $50,000 from Roxy, a betrayal that cut even deeper than his infidelity. Roxy, who had been the primary breadwinner thanks to her thriving acting career, was left to deal with the emotional and financial fallout of Cy's actions. Lenny, loyal to his mother, couldn't stand by and watch the deception unfold. He took matters into his own hands and jetted off to the Bahamas to tell Roxy what he had discovered. The news devastated her, though it wasn't the first time Cy had strayed. In fact, Roxy revealed that Cy had been unfaithful since the beginning of their marriage. One particularly heartbreaking story involves Roxy showing up at the doorstep of Cy's mistress, baby Lenny in her arms, pleading with her husband to come home. Despite her efforts to hold the family together, the relationship had reached a breaking point. Roxy filed for divorce in 1985 after more than 2 decades of marriage. The final straw wasn't just Psy's infidelity, but the fact that their son had become entangled in the mess. When Roxie confronted Psy about his betrayal in front of Lenny, Psy's cold response, "You'll do it too," left an indelible scar on their son. Psy's failings as a husband were compounded by his failures as a father. His two daughters from his first marriage were essentially strangers to him, and despite Roxie's attempts to encourage him to build a relationship with them, Psy seemed uninterested in being a father to them. His neglect and selfishness reverberated through the years, contributing to the collapse of his second marriage. Roxie, ever the resilient queen, didn't let the heartbreak define her. Even after her divorce, she continued to thrive in her acting career, taking on more iconic roles and cementing her legacy as a television pioneer. Beyond the screen, she dedicated herself to philanthropy, particularly in the fight against child abuse. She worked closely with the Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, ICANN, in Los Angeles, raising awareness and funds to support families in distress. Her commitment to helping others, even as she dealt with her own personal struggles, was a testament to her strength and character. Sadly, Roxie's life was cut short when she lost her battle with breast cancer in 1995 at the age of 66. But her legacy lives on. She broke barriers for African American actors, pushed the boundaries of what was possible on television, and left an indelible mark on the entertainment industry. Her courage, both on and off the screen, continues to inspire generations of performers and fans alike. Roxie Roker was more than just Helen Willis from the Jeffersons. She was a trailblazer, a philanthropist, a mother, and an icon who shattered glass ceilings and defied expectations at every turn. Roxie Roker was a stage and television actress, best known for her portrayal of Helen Willis on the hit television series The Jeffersons, in which Roker and actor Franklin Cover portrayed the first interracial married couple on primetime television. A Miami native, Roker spent most of her young life in Brooklyn, New York, where she became an accomplished stage actress before entering the film and television industry. In her later life, Roker worked as a children's rights activist in Los Angeles and was honored by the city for her service. Part of a famous family, Roker was the mother of famed rock star Lenny Kravitz and the cousin of broadcaster Al Roker. She died in 1995 of complications arising from breast cancer. Roxie Albertha Roker was born on August 28, 1929, in Miami, Florida. Her father, Albert Roker, immigrated to Miami from the Bahamas, where he met and married Roker's mother, Bessie. Her family moved to Brooklyn, New York, when she was young, and she attended public schools in Brooklyn. After high school, Roker attended Howard University in Washington, D.C., and received a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree with an emphasis on drama. She was a member of the Howard Players, the university's theater group, and performed in a number of productions in the Washington, D.C. area. After college, Roker traveled to Stratford-upon-Avon in England, where she studied acting at the Shakespeare Institute, an extension of the University of Birmingham. Roker returned to Brooklyn and took a job as a secretary for the National Broadcasting Company's NBC corporate offices in Manhattan. She spent many nights performing in off-Broadway productions and made a name for herself in the amateur theater scene. In 1962, Roker married Seymour Cy Kravitz, a television producer for NBC. Roker's interracial marriage to Kravitz would mirror her later role on The Jeffersons. In 1964, the couple had a son, Leonard Lenny Kravitz, who later gained international fame as a rock musician. In 1968, Roker was hired to host a local television program for a station WNEW in Brooklyn called Inside Bedford-Stuyvesant, which was the first New York television show written, produced, and presented by African Americans. On the historic series, Roker interviewed residents of the predominantly Black Bed-Stuy community, helping to bring the problems of that neighborhood to the public eye. Roker remained with the series for a year before leaving to pursue acting full-time. Roker joined the Negro Ensemble Company, NEC, a theater troupe that performed off-Broadway productions in New York. She was one of a list of African-American performers who spent time with the company before going on to have major careers in film and television, including Lawrence Fishburne, Denzel Washington, Rosalind Cash, and Danny Glover. Roker performed in a number of productions with the NEC, including two of famed African-American playwright Joseph A. Walker's original plays, Ododo, which was a musical play about African history, and The River Niger, which portrayed African-American life in Harlem. It was for her portrayal of Maddie Williams in The River Niger that Roker won an Obie Award from The Village Voice in 1973 and was nominated for a Tony Award in 1974. In 1975, Roker and her family left New York for Los Angeles, where she auditioned for a role in an upcoming CBS television series, The Jeffersons. The series was a spin-off of the popular series All in the Family and focused on the lives of George and Louise Jefferson, played by Sherman Hemsley and Isabel Sanford, and their circle of friends in New York City. Roker auditioned for the role of Helen Willis, best friend of Louise Jefferson, who was in an interracial marriage to a white man. At her audition, producer Norman Lear reportedly expressed doubts that audiences would believe Roker being married to a white man. Roker reportedly showed producers a photo of her white husband, Lenny Kravitz, and was then accepted for the role. The Jeffersons remained on the air for 11 years, earning distinction as the longest-running African-American sitcom in American history. Throughout the course of the series, the writers, directors, and actors delved into a number of issues involving race and class relations, and the show is often credited for breaking new ground in terms of portraying African-American life. Roker's on-screen marriage was the first interracial marriage on a network series, and the show addressed the issue of interracial relationships and acceptance within both African-American and white communities. At the start of the series, Helmsley's character, George Jefferson, expressed distaste at Tom and Helen Willis's interracial relationship, calling them zebras or chocolate and vanilla. Although racial jokes of this nature were intended to be humorous, the show's writers also used the relationship between Tom and Helen Willis to take a serious look at intolerance towards interracial couples. As the show progressed, the Willises' daughter married one of the Jeffersons' sons, forcing George Jefferson to confront and eventually overcome his racial prejudices. Roker remained with the series from 1975 to 1985, when the show was canceled unexpectedly without airing a finale. As the show ended, Roker was also undergoing other major changes, including a divorce from Kravitz. She returned to the theater and later reunited with former Jeffersons cast members for a Best of the Jeffersons stage production. Roker also made guest appearances in a number of television series during the 1970s and 80s, including A Different World, Punky Brewster, The Love Boat, and Cagney and Lacey. On the stage, Roker toured with the theatrical production Legends, which also featured Carol Channing and Mary Martin. Though she continued acting in minor productions, Roker spent much of her later life as an activist for children's rights in Los Angeles. As a member of the Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, Roker gave speeches to groups in the Los Angeles area on children's rights and was honored twice by the Los Angeles City Council for her efforts. Roker died of breast cancer in Los Angeles on January 5, 1995, at 66 years old. Her son, musician Lenny Kravitz, abbreviated a national tour to attend his mother's funeral. Born Roxie Albertha Roker on August 28, 1929, in Miami, Florida, died December 2, 1995, in Los Angeles, California, daughter of Albert and Bessie Roker, married Seymour Kravitz, 1962, divorced 1985, children, Lenny Kravitz, born 1964. Education, Howard University, BFA Drama, 1952, career WNEW-TV television host, 1968 to 69, Negro Ensemble Company, actress 1970 to 75, CBS Television, actress in The Jeffersons, 1975 to 85, actress in film and television, 1985 to 95. Memberships, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, Los Angeles. Throughout her career, Roker distinguished herself as a versatile and talented actress, comfortable both on the small stage and the big screen. Her career spanned decades of tremendous change in the entertainment industry, when African American performers were beginning to find roles that celebrated their own culture and history. Roker's groundbreaking role on the Jeffersons was among the first to address issues that Roker knew well from her own experience and opened the door for a public dialogue on interracial relationships.